Good morning. It's a Thursday morning. The GIFT Nifty is suggesting a slightly muted start, down close to about 50 points. But we've had 3 good days on the trot. The Nifty's up 1.5% this week. The mid-cap performance, though, has been a bit middling. The mid-cap index is down 0.3% in the last 3 trading sessions. Dipan Mehta, director at Elixir Equities, is now with us on the show. Dipan, have you gone shopping in the last few days in the kind of bullish frenzy that the market is in?
Yeah, good morning, Rima, and thank you for having me on your show. No, only shopping we are doing is just doing some balancing here or there. That too, large cap stocks, that's it, banks, IT companies, stocks like Larsen and Tobro, that too for incremental capital coming into our portfolio management scheme or cash flows coming in from business. So the tilt is more and more towards large cap stocks.
In banks, you want to tell us what you've bought recently and even in IT?
Usual disclosures, of course. Banks, of course, Axis Bank appears to be the most attractive and in terms of valuation, and it's been an underperformer, but that should do very well according to us going forward. There is scope to narrow the valuation gap between Axis Bank and other peer group banks like HDFC, ICICI, Kotak. And within the software, I think the larger ones, TCS, Infosys, but these are purely, just to keep the money invested in some stock or the other, not be in cash, because we are in the midst of a absolute raging bull market, and there's only so much cash you can keep on your books. So whenever the cash levels cross a particular level, you just go and buy one of the large cap stocks, index stocks, and hope that those work out well for you.
Okay, well, Reliance was the one that participated yesterday and suddenly, has found itself a new set of wings. Dipan, hi, good morning. Any thoughts here? I mean, do you think Reliance could now play catch up, and is there more to go?
Yeah, I think, Sonia, it's a well-discovered story, and all that is left for investors to figure out in Reliance is how the listing of the 2 subsidiaries, retail and Reliance Jio, is going to take place, whether it's going to be a pure IPO, whether they're going to split the company. I think that's the only question which is to be asked. But just Reliance is playing catch-up with what is happening in other stocks. Mid-cap stocks have rallied significantly. So in a way, large-cap stocks are just about catching up with mid-cap stocks. So that the valuation gap, which is much higher for mid-cap stocks, that valuation gap is gradually being closed with large-cap stocks now rallying.
Okay, so you're saying that Reliance is a well-discovered story, right? What according to you, is a story where there is enough and more scope now from here on? I mean, I take your point entirely. Valuations are looking a bit sticky across most large caps. So in the mid and small cap space, anything that stands out for you where retail investors can look at?
Yeah, I think that banks are an interesting space to be in. And I heard Lata about the inclusion in the bond index. That's positive for banks. It may help them gain some trading profits on the bond trading, which they do. Secondly, I think interest rates have completely been capped, and from here they can only go down. And as liquidity improves, then the stress on raising deposits can go down for the banks, and that may enable them to increase their net interest margins. Also, on the whole, economy is doing well. Real economy is also doing pretty well. So demand for credit should be pretty decent. So from that point of view, even in the mid cap, like look at a bank like Federal Bank, it's quoting at, I think, single digit type of price to earnings multiple, I think 10 times max if I remember correctly. And it's a business as a bank, it can easily grow at 14-15% on a compounded basis for the next several years, given its size and given its kind of structure and its brand and its tech platform. So I think that incremental money should be looked at putting into large cap banks or mid cap banks, banks like, say, IDFC First, smaller banks, CSB, so on. There are so many of these smaller banks. Of course, our preference is for the private sector banks rather than the PSU bank, but PSU banks also should do equally well. So when you're coming to zero in on mid cap stocks, I think the best space to be in are the banks, private as well as public.